How much longer do you have? Feelings for me have cooled. How could he say something like that to his wife? I was more than angry and shocked. I was disgusted. What? You're the one who doesn't have long to live. What? Hi, my name is Sarah. I believe that aging gracefully is a timeless theme for both men and women. I am now 60 years old, but I still try to dress younger. It's not for my husband. When I look in the mirror and see that my hair, makeup, and clothes look nice, I get excited. People are surprised when I tell them I'm 60, and I'm relieved when they tell me I don't look it. My husband and I have drifted apart, and I'm left wondering why I married someone like him. I work hard in a comic book editor's editorial department. My husband is against me working, despite the fact that I don't make much money. When I look at my husband, who says with a nonchalant expression that men hunt and women do housework, I can only sigh. I'm wondering if we've gone back to the Middle Ages, or maybe even the Stone Age since he calls it hunting. I'd like to tell him that even in the animal kingdom, the lioness hunts. I enjoy advising young aspiring cartoonists with big dreams and working with them to create appealing characters and interesting stories. 60-somethings today are young. I believe the days of just relaxing at home after the age of 60 are over. My husband, on the other hand, was unique. How long will you keep working? You're 60 now. Women over 60 are useless. I was irritated, but my husband would never back down, so I was the one who did. Your opinions are so outdated, I said. I will not forgive you if you neglect your housework because of your job. Has my husband, who believes that housework is solely the responsibility of wives, not seen the news? He looks down on women, but also has a weakness for beautiful young women, which is the worst pattern in some ways. I finished college and got this job. I dreamt of becoming a cartoonist since high school, but I gave up because I'm not good at drawing. So I decided I wanted to help people who were pursuing their dreams. I was so busy with work that I forgot I had turned 40. My relatives approached me about an arranged marriage proposal, and I fantasized about being married. Marriage is an important event in life and should never be rushed. However, I was so impatient, and I thought that I would be single for the rest of my life if I missed this opportunity. I agreed to the matchmaking proposal and married my current husband, who was 41 years old. My husband was hiding his fangs and acting like a gentleman at the time, so I couldn't see his true nature. We didn't have children because we were both over 40, and I had no intention of quitting my job. My parents are in their 80s, but unlike my husband, they seem to be aware of the times and never asked me to have their grandchildren. Many women want to have children but are unable to do so. Why don't you have children yet? They would never say something like that. My parents know that's hurtful. Recently, my husband has been looking at his phone and sneaking around a lot. I thought maybe he was cheating on me, but the fact that I didn't feel angry shows that my feelings for him have completely faded. My mother-in-law, who lives nearby, paid us a visit one day. My father-in-law died 3 years ago, and my mother-in-law now lives alone. She is 85 years old, but she has always been stubborn, and my husband can't get enough of her. It's not because he respects her so much, but because she is wealthy. She has about $200,000 in savings. Because I'm an only child, I'll get her property. I hope she dies soon. Stingy woman. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There are some things you cannot say. If I don't be nice to her now, even if it is a lie, it'll be bad for me if she leaves all the money to an institution or something else. My mother-in-law walked in from the next room at that exact moment. I'm sorry for being so stingy. Oh, Mom. With an ogre-like expression on his face, my husband turned pale and took it out on me. Why didn't you tell me she was here first, you idiot? Stop talking. Don't yell at her all the time. You're annoying the neighbors. My husband turned his head down without saying anything because there was no excuse. How long have you and Kevin not been getting along? My mother-in-law asked. while he was running away to take a bath. "When did you and your husband stop getting along? It doesn't feel like a bad cold, but rather like a serious illness." "You can tell?" I said with an awkward smile. "Sarah, if you can't take it anymore, you can get a divorce. Having grudges and having so much hatred is no way to live. The agony of having to be with someone you don't want to be with is unbearable. It must be difficult to live with people you dislike. You don't have to be scared of me." My mother-in-law's generosity warmed my heart. She was so knowledgeable and well-educated that it was difficult to believe they were blood relatives. My husband had to have traveled in time from the Stone Age. He took a physical examination at work again this year, but he seems to have failed. I'm curious if his inactivity, combined with his age, has taken its toll on him. He always comes home late, many times drunk. My husband claims to have had a drink with his colleagues at a bar, but I know he goes to a strip club. It's a wife's intuition. Kevin was retested, and I received a call from the hospital one day. "Before I tell you in person, there is something I'd like to discuss with your family." It sounded like a scene from a TV show, and I felt a flutter in my chest. I was surprised to hear what the doctor said at the hospital. Only 6 months to live? When my husband was told he only had 6 months to live, I was a whirlwind of emotions. I was surprised that I wasn't shocked, but almost relieved. I felt guilty for my lack of empathy. I asked myself if a normal wife would be able to hide her disbelief, learning her husband only had 6 months left. It must be a mistake. You need to be prepared. Whether or not you tell him is up to you. His character, you know him best. What exactly do you mean by character? It is risky to tell him immediately if he has a negative personality. It may be better to tell him if he has a positive, strong personality. He will understandably become desperate if he learns he only has 6 months to live. He doesn't know, but he should refrain from going to strip clubs and drinking alcohol. I returned home with a gloomy feeling, but I decided that I should still tell him. I told my husband when he got home. "Honey, I have something important to tell you." "What is it? Unlike you, I'm busy." "I'm also very busy." "Aren't you just keeping yourself busy? Quit your job if you don't like being busy." "A man making his wife work is not a good look. It makes me look like I don't earn enough money." I had no idea what he was talking about and was intimidated by his old-fashioned opinion. He doesn't seem to realize that most families nowadays have 2 incomes and that full-time housewives are rare. Today I went to the hospital. "What about the hospital?" "I want you to brace yourself." "Hurry up, I'm busy." I was so enraged that I said it out loud. "The doctor told me you only had 6 months to live." My husband kept a straight face for a few seconds before laughing. I rushed to cover my mouth with my hand. "Only 6 months to live?" "Yes," I said, attempting to calm myself. "Don't panic. Don't be arrogant." I could tell he was shocked because he was speaking strangely. "Well, I guess I deserved it. Maybe I'm too rough on my body." I was surprised that he knew his actions caused this. "So you better cut back on your drinking from now on." "Shut up. Drinking is part of the job. Women have a bad habit of thinking it's just for fun because we've had a drink. I'm going to continue drinking." "You shouldn't. Come home right after work." My husband smiled big. "Wait, you're not going to tell me that you want more time together because I only have 6 months to live, are you?" I would never dream of it, but I was forced to play the good wife. "Of course I do. I'd like to spend more time with you." "Don't be a fool. I don't have that much time." "Honey." I was about to say something significant when he cut me off. "All right, this conversation is over. That's all there is to it. Time is money, and I'm squandering it with you." How could he say something so hurtful without hesitation? But I didn't say anything else. I went into my husband's study to check on him, concerned that he might be depressed. I could hear him talking to someone else. "My wife was told at the hospital today that she only has 6 months to live. I didn't ask her what it was, but 6 months. It had to be some sort of terminal cancer." I didn't understand what my husband was saying at first. 6 months. he said. My mother is 85 years old and has life insurance, and she'll be gone soon. Amy, come live with me after she dies. I'd like to restart my life. I was taken aback. My husband has made a terrible mistake. But my rage reached a boiling point when I overheard his conversation with Amy. I just couldn't bring myself to say the truth. He was messing with me. I can't stand hearing him talk about his mother like that. I care about her. You'll see things your own way your whole life, even if it is only 6 months. My husband didn't come home late. He didn't come home at all after I told him about his life expectancy. Sometimes he lies and says he's on a business trip. I'm shocked. He wears flashy clothes, buys expensive watches, and seems to spend tons of money every day. He also buys a lot of gifts. My husband doesn't have much money. Is he counting on the money for my insurance after I die? He is being less than human. It's been 3 months since I was told he only had a few months to live. Is there something wrong with your body? I asked my pale husband. Recently, I've been feeling tired and sluggish. Just going up the stairs at the station makes me out of breath. I think you should drink less. Shut up, I'm telling you, drinking is a necessary part of my job. Go to hell if all you have to say is depressing things. I was irritated, but I chose not to argue. You're such a nag. You and that old hag can go to hell. My mother-in-law was standing directly behind my husband. You mean me, the old hag? She said. Oh, you scared me. Are you talking about me? I've never referred to you as an old hag. I was talking about my boss. Oh, really? My mother-in-law looked at him suspiciously, so he lowered his head. My husband left without saying anything. 4 months have passed since he was told he only had a few months to live. My husband began coughing more often, missing work more frequently, and his blood pressure was low, when he usually had high blood pressure. His low blood pressure made him dizzy, and he almost fell down a flight of stairs. He still continued to travel for business. He spends his last day with his mistress, not his wife. He only has a few months to live, and he's busy cheating on his wife. He claims that his hands and feet are cold, and that he's aching all over, even on hot days. If you're not feeling well, you should probably refuse to go on business trips. Mind your own business. I'm not the only one looking forward to the business trip. They need me there. I can call the company and ask your boss to excuse you from the business trip. As expected, my husband was furious and yelled at me. Try it. I'm not going to let you get away with it. I made an effort not to laugh. I felt sorry for my husband, who deserved it, but I was unsure whether I should tell my mother-in-law the truth. She has always been very kind to me since the wedding. Then I had an unexpected visitor. I had never seen a young woman like her before. What is your name? Hey, I'm Amy. It's nice to meet you. I was taken aback by her bold visit to my home. I'll just be direct. Please let Kevin leave. What exactly do you mean by let him leave? I was shocked. Even I can see that Amy is incredibly beautiful and dainty with a great fashion sense. I couldn't understand why such a beautiful woman was dating my husband. He is not wealthy, so she's not with him for money. But it can't possibly be pure love, can it? It's gotta be a scam. Kevin is in pain. I think it's stress. Please divorce him. I laughed at her audacity. This is insane to say things like that openly to his wife. She, on the other hand, was unfazed. You only have one life. It's foolish to be tied down by marriage these days. I realized something. I ended the conversation with a smile because I knew if I talked to her anymore, I might lose my temper and put my hands on her. I'm not worried about that. I'm not sure if he'll go to heaven or hell because I'm not the devil. She gave me a brief look before smiling brightly. The devil, huh? You're funny, ma'am. I'm not trying to be funny. How old are you? 29. I couldn't believe it. 29? She's more than 30 years younger than me. What do you do for a living? He came to see me at work. He's very nice. Why would you date him? Kevin is tough and competent. Stop. I smiled as I looked at her. If you keep talking, I'll strangle you. It's not funny. Amy stared at me silently for a few seconds before saying, When I met you for the first time today, I was honestly surprised at how different my impression of you was. Ugh, what did my husband say about me? Did he call me a witch? Amy burst out laughing. He never said anything negative about you. I just assumed you weren't this nice. I wasn't going to be flattered by her compliment, but I was starting to think maybe Amy wasn't such a bad person. I, of course, don't like his mistress, but if I were a man, I might get swept away by her kindness too. There will be a time when your genuinity is questioned. Huh? Her head-tilting gesture is also adorable. Even though I don't feel bad for my husband because he is of the devil, I can't help but feel sorry for this girl. 6 months have passed since I was told he only had a few months to live. My husband, who has a pale complexion, took another day off today. But when he saw my cheerful face when he came home from work, he sneered. How long do you think you'll live? I was wondering how he could say this to his wife, no matter how much his feelings for her have cooled. I remained calm and kept my composure. You and the old lady are relentless. Say what you want about me, but don't talk about your mother. My husband got mad and yelled. Don't worry, you don't have much time left on Earth anyway. So, before you die, let me tell you what I really think. I believe marrying you was the worst mistake of my life. Words he should have never said. My husband had finally gone too far. Is that a will? I asked, fuming. A will? Wait, you didn't make some strange will, did you? You made a will? It's been 6 months since I was told what the life expectancy was. What are you even talking about? Have you finally gone insane? I was furious and completely shocked. What? It's your life expectancy. What? My husband stiffened and kept a straight face for a moment, but then he scoffed. You're not making sense. You've lost it. You need to go to the hospital. Kevin walked into his study. He passed out in the house the next morning. I immediately called an ambulance, called my mother-in-law, and went to the hospital. When the exam was finished and my husband found out the truth, he blew up and yelled at me in front of the doctors and nurses. Why didn't you tell me this? I warned you, it was 6 months ago. Don't lie to me, that was about you. My husband was taken aback when he remembered our conversation 6 months earlier. I didn't tell him who had been told about their life expectancy at the time. You're the devil. Please be quiet, this is a hospital. You should stay out of it. You both are in on it. He pointed at the doctor and the nurse. It was a mess and my husband was going crazy. Enough! If I stay here, I'll be killed. You're talking too much. Shut up! Shut up! I don't believe you! My husband escaped the hospital room, despite the nurse's efforts to stop him. I had no intention of stopping him. I went home after apologizing to the nurses and doctors on behalf of Kevin. My husband returned home a few days later, pale-faced. When I told Amy the truth, she told me that she had told him to leave me alone. I looked at Amy's expression and knew it might be true. I would have preferred her to have just told me he was leaving me, but Amy was married. It's not uncommon for strippers to lie about being single. Amy's husband had recently been released from prison. When Amy's husband discovered she was cheating on him, he choked her and she told him about my husband. Help me! They're threatening to drown me alive! How can I save you from such a terrifying man? How can you be so calm when your husband is in danger? How can he say that? Should you go abroad? I don't have any money. I found out he had spent all of his savings and was planning to get by on the insurance money coming in. It's not a surprise that he blew so much money so fast. He always went on business trips. Or really, traveled with Amy and probably paid for everything. Could you please give me some money? I don't have any. I dismissed him. Please borrow it from Mom. She won't lend it to me if I ask. She's a stingy old lady. Why don't you ask your boss? Oh no! My husband glared at me, startled and flustered like a cartoon character. I told you, let me know ahead of time if you were coming over. Is it on purpose? They only gave you 6 months to live, and that was 6 months ago. You'll be gone soon, right? My husband and I were both shocked at his mom's cold-blooded comment. You'd say that to your own son? How many times have you said that to your mother? My husband was unable to respond. Kevin, please apologize to Sarah. Then we can discuss it. This is my house. Get the hell out of here. I don't want to see your face. Let's go, Sarah. What? You've let me down. I'm cutting ties and will be living with my daughter. Daughter? Kevin is an only child. When I looked surprised to hear my mother-in-law had a secret child, she said, Sarah is my daughter. Do you have a problem with that? Wow. My husband rolled his eyes. I was about to cry, but I managed to keep it together. My husband and mother-in-law are blood. We wouldn't be family if I divorced my husband. But my mother-in-law still claims me as her daughter. She has shown me this since the day we got married. She loved me like I was her own daughter. Her love was genuine. My husband, who had lost his color, fixed his gaze on his mother. What are you talking about? Your only son or your daughter-in-law? I don't have to tell you which one is more important. Of course I would choose Sarah. I don't claim a child who cheats on his wife with no remorse. In disbelief of his mother's words, my husband walked into his study, silent. I quickly packed my things and moved in with my mother-in-law. Fortunately, I was working, and my mother-in-law had savings. As she advised, I divorced Kevin and cut him off. I wonder if he will be okay, even though he deserves it. Which will kill him first, the goons or sickness? But I'm really concerned about Amy. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Marriage is a close relationship, and the most important part is love. If love fades, a marriage will end quickly. So, was this marriage a mistake? Well, I met my mother-in-law through it. We act like a real parent and daughter, and we live a happy life together. My parents were confused at first, but when I told them about the ordeal, they understood. I am content. Happiness is not something you can get from others. You have to find it yourself. Men swear to their fiancé's parents that they will make their daughter happy. I will do everything to make her happy. But I don't expect men to make me happy. We are the source of our own happiness. The possibilities are endless.